Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning into us from. And I know that I have some watchers from the other side of the planet, and I'm thankful for them being here. So, welcome to another episode of the Fueled Life podcast. And today we are going to be talking about the connectivity and how to detoxify this digital thing that's going on in our world. And I am joined with my partner in crime, my co-host, Charlie Collins. Charlie, welcome this morning. And how are you, my friend?
I'm well, thank you, and good morning. I am Charlie Collins, and I'm glad to be here. And I mean, this whole digital detox. It's like, what are you talking about? Digital detox. I mean, I can't get enough of it. And there's some sort of, what does detox mean? Stanley, because there's like nutrition type of detox. There's detox off of alcohol, detox off of drugs. There's that word is a strong word. So that must mean there's a good reason to take a look at this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you're mentioning all those other elements, the detoxification is because we've been addicted to something, and it is resetting our body, resetting our mind, resetting our spiritual experience by taking a step back and calculating what is it that we're bringing in and what is the benefit that it's doing to our body. So when you're talking about, let's say, an addiction detox, now you can have healthy things that you're addicted to that are not creating the benefit that you once intended for them to create. And that is food. Food's a source. So, but if you find yourself going to a particular food that's not necessarily bad by itself, but you continue to go back to it, and now you get addicted to it, you got to detoxify your body to get it back, set it back to normal, just like we do with our computer. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is, people personally that never, ever, ever shut their computer off. They just keep it on continually. And when you hit that power down button, what it does is it allows the computer to reset and reboot, and it starts everything, and all the programs are running optimally. It's the same thing that we need to do when it comes to our devices.
And it's not so much for the device. The device is smart. It'll stay on if you leave it on, but it'll go to rest, and then it will go through a whole process and checking and say, here I am. I'm at my optimal performance, ready to work with you. But what we're going into today is, the affect. Sure, cell phones came out. They were great. Especially that flippy one. I forget the Razor. Oh, I loved my Razor. It was thin, and you could text a couple words and take calls. Done. Don't look at that screen too often. But now look at they've evolved into the high-powered computers in a little form factor, and that's all good. And it can be a really good thing in your life. But where we're heading with it is, for some symptoms, sleep. Are you sleeping throughout the night, sleeping well? Of course, if you're tracking it, then you're somebody that really cares about that. But do you know if you're sleeping or not, or having a hard time falling asleep? Do you feel like a little anxious, stressed, or even a little bit of like, something's missing throughout the day? Do your eyes get itchy? And are you rubbing them a lot? Are you sitting too much? And so there's many things that say, well, I'm not. And if you go to a doctor and you say, this is my symptoms, they're going to open the book of pills and try to help you with that. But they don't say to you, what's your screen time? What are you eating? Are you walking? Are you taking a break from the bombing of media, social media, and all that? And I think that's a good starting point to say, Why would I take a look at Digital Detox? Hey,
Yeah,
it's a new program. They got AA. This one could be called DD.
exactly. The average person looks at their phone 150 times a day. Now, that by itself isn't the startling thing, but it is. Even when the phone chimes, we get a text message. It sounds a bell. And what that's doing to our brain is it's not letting it regulate. It's not letting it get into a state of flow. And so if you constantly have these interactions that are taking place, constant move, your brain is trying to multitask, and your brain is not a computer. It is the largest computer known to man. It can store more um, material and knowledge, but the constant beckoning to switch programs immediately, because we get, some people have their phone to where a certain person calls and it's a certain ringtone. Another person calls, it's a different ringtone. And so it creates dopamine because it creates also an energetic connection. If that special someone is calling and you got, Marvin Gaye on the song, you just know that there's an emotion that's going to kick in. And if it's that person that you really don't want to talk to, you got another tone for that. And so, but it stirs up these emotions, and then that sends signals to our body, and our brain is constantly got multiple programs going on, and it's overload.
Yeah. And you said it there. It's not even like it's a program that you formed over the time of using a phone. It's so the brain hears the ding. So I could be ready to write an important email, and I'm like really in the thought process, and I get done with the first sentence, and all of a sudden ding. Now that ding is more exciting than that email. That ding could be, who knows, but that ding just gave me a spurt of, hey, buddy, this is good stuff. And then I break away and I get my phone and I look at it and I go, oh, that might have been something worse. You know what I mean? It could have been negative. It doesn't, I don't know. But then that dopamine high, just kind of depending on the words in the text, it's like, and then I got to get back to the email. So I come back and I take a breath and I start writing. And then the other chime, that one is somebody left a voicemail, or because I have in silent mode, or it goes zip, zip, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then the computer's on, ding, ding. And then the doorbell rings. You know what I mean? It's like, and then people go and we say, I have a real issue with focus. And they're like, okay, what is it? Well, I try to write an email, but my attention goes elsewhere. But they're not saying, because my phone is prompting me to listen to it. And I can't not look at, I watch people standing in the car, drivers, and they're driving and their phone beeps and they are so uncomfortable because they have to know what that is. And
Right.
it's like, who cares?
Right.
I'm like, I see that and they're fumbling for it. They're driving. They got to just look, because God, it might need, is your daughter having a baby? No. Are your parents in the hospital? No. Is something life threatening? No. But Susie might have had a taco for lunch.
Right. Yeah. And, the notifications, like you said, and that was something that I actually got to learn through the last 4 years, I'll put it that way, is that I was able to now silence, go in and hit focus on my phone and at my phone and my computer. So my phone stays on silent. And so when I'm working with clients, I don't get the disruption, the ding anymore. I don't get the chime. My gosh, an email every 30 seconds. And that's probably giving it a little bit of time. I bet there's one every 15 seconds. And this constant beinging. It's constant, like resetting our attention to something else, and we can lose our train of thought. I had a client once that was experiencing a little bit of work fatigue, or so we thought. And so we came up with a plan that he would go to work less, get more done, but he still had this drain. And it was like, so what is going on? You know, what are you doing at the end of the day when you go home? What does your schedule look like? And he started sharing the normal things like, okay, I come home, I'm prepare dinner, and then I sit down and I'm watching TV, and then I go to bed. And I said, okay, and where's your phone at while you're doing all of these activities? And he said, well, it's in my pocket. And I said, oh, so you're telling me that you leave the work, but your phone, and how often are you looking at it? And without, at first, without monitoring it, he wasn't able to give me a good answer. He's, well, probably. I said, well, I want you to monitor it for the next 7 days. 7 days out of 365, it's not a big deal. So he began to monitor it. And he discovered that even while he was in the presence at the dinner table, he had his phone there. Now, there's nothing so important that, unless you've got somebody in the hospital or you've got a baby that's on its way or somebody, but there's nothing so important that you have to be notified over, hey, look, my cat's in the tree and the fire department's coming. Who cares? But this was causing this drain in his physical life and his emotional experience. And when he decided to make the move to say, you know what, I'm making a rule. There's no phones at the table. It was amazing how the conversations were more wholesome. They could become present with the people at the table.
You're not kidding. I know that. First of all, there's a blue light thing that's emitted from TVs, phones, and all those things, which they mess with your melatonin, your sleep stuff. So the fact that, I think I read it was 2-3 hours, no screen until bedtime.
Yeah.
And do not bring your cell phone and put it next to you and charge it in bed.
Oh,
leave it downstairs in the house, and I got to tell you, Stanley, I've worked with a lot of people. No, I can't do that. I'm like, can't or won't.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. We got some work to do, because if you can't leave your phone somewhere and go to bed, you might want to think about the detox part of this, because that's called an addiction. It's not necessary that, because it's affecting you. You got Wi-Fi, your EMF, you got all sorts of waves in your room when your body needs to do what the computer's doing. It needs to shut down. It needs to repair and sleep and get some good REM and wake up fresh. But if you're not feeling like, the first thing you do in the morning is look at your phone, DD. That is a wicked sign. Or the last thing you do is just check. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Oh, TikTok. That's massively addicting. I don't have it on my phone. I'm sorry, Stanley.
I said it is addicting.
Yeah, well, when they built Facebook and all those platforms, they did it exactly with addiction in mind. They knew the human brain, the human condition, and they built it exactly for that reason. How about a series on Netflix? I'm only watching one tonight. Then I'm into the second one. I can't possibly not watch the third one. Right. They're all built. And it's like, God, I didn't mean to stay up this late. Why am I checking my stupid Twitter or my last few emails before bed? I said I wasn't going to do that tonight. Those are all signs of addiction.
Yes. Yeah. And it is there's that cliffhanger at the end of the movie or at the end of the show that's on Netflix. And I don't have Netflix anymore, but I did have it. And there was a series on there. And honestly, I can't recall what the name of that series was. It's been 3 years since I've had Netflix, at least 3 years. And it was something that I would watch with my son. And it was like, okay, so we watched the one episode. It was like 40 minutes. And it's like, okay, we can't not watch the second one. We got to know what happens. And there were times, and now that was a bonding time. But here again, it became a habit for many people. And I mean, my gosh, how many people do I see when I go to dinner and I watch and I look across the restaurant and people have got their phone and they got a person sitting right next to them. And they're doing this and then they're smiling and then they're frowning and then they're smiling and then they're frowning. And that's addiction. That's when you know there's something that you have the opportunity to make a difference. And this dopamine fix that you're getting from the smart device that's making you, I'm going to just say it, our smart devices are making us stupid. And they're keeping us from living an abundant life. I mean, here's the thing. If it's not adding value to your life and if it's not helping you create, then what are you doing on it that much? And like you said, people wake up first thing in the morning and they're looking at a memory of yesterday, of what stirred them up, what made them mad.
I think, well, I would assume most people doing that are, they're like, this one's better than me. I mean, they're not starting their day out that great because they're looking at the past and somebody else who has it better, who maybe doesn't, but they portray it on social media better. And, it would be a hard way to start the day. And so here's the deal. I mean, what do you do about this? Well, get honest. Is your phone a tool that allows you to stay connected, send texts to loved ones and friends? And if you need to look stuff up on the internet, use it for GPS. I mean, it's endless with the apps and what you can do with it. But the deal is, if you're out to dinner or you're eating dinner or a meal or you're going into the can and you got that thing with you, that's an issue. And if my wife and I were having dinner and she pulled out her phone to look at it, I would get up and go home. I'd say, obviously I wasted my time because I know now what's your higher power and I don't want to be hers, but I'm saying this is more important to you than a conversation connecting. Now, she doesn't do that, but like you said, I am blown, especially the kids, and the parents allow it. A lot of them have headphones in. They don't even know what's going on. They don't hear wisdom. They don't hear how adults carry themselves. My grandmother, if my elbow went on the table, wham, with the fork, ow. I mean, there were rules and there was manners. And I want to walk around some of those restaurants, sit up straight. Junior, take those things out of your ears. Put that damn phone away. And if you have nothing to say, listen and pretend you're interested. How's the steak?
So we'll do an episode with Charlie's child rearing episode.
Yeah, well, you can follow me around a restaurant while I discipline everybody.
I'll do that. But it's like, you just want to shake them and say, wake up. We talk about absenteeism, but what about presenteeism? And this is what our digital devices are creating, a presenteeism. We're missing the moment. We're not being present. And we're missing so much of life that's going on around us. Now, I know that we've gone to this whole virtual world, and I spend a lot of time in the virtual world. It gives me the capacity to work with people from New York to Beverly Hills and do what we do. And you as well, Charlie, work all over the country and other countries. But we also have to take that into account and go, okay, where is the balance getting way off? How much time have I spent? How much time am I allowing that blue light that I don't even realize what it's doing, and it's sucking the energy out of my eyes and creating headaches, it's creating brain fog, it's creating all kinds of change in my circadian rhythm. And when my body's not able to, like you mentioned, the melatonin, if my body's not able to produce that melatonin because it's been affected by the blue light, I can't get a good night's sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night and it just wreaks havoc.
And when you wake up in the middle of the night, I shouldn't say you and not me either, but what a lot of people do who can't sleep is they start looking at their phone again
Exactly.
because it's right there and it takes my mind off not sleeping. But what it's doing is it's screwing you more than you can imagine. And,
Keeping your mind off.
I got these blue blockers. My phone at 9 p.m. shuts into this whole new night mode. I have some disciplines and rules around my phone. My kids know that 24 hours, if they text me, it's going to be 24 hours I have to get back to you. If you expect it sooner, go and get detoxed. Write me a letter. If you leave me a voicemail, 24 hours. None of it is, unless it's urgent, I'm all over it. But and Stanley, so that was the thing. I'm in the middle of doing something important. I believe in it. It's going to make an impact. I'm working on it. Ding, ding. Let me look at the ding, ding. I usually don't, but this time I'm gonna. It's so funny, the stuff we come up with. And right. I look and I go, oh, it's, Mike. And Mike ask me a couple questions and I can be of service to him, right? So let me push back away and think and then, answer Mike. And then I send to Mike and I'm done with Mike. And I put my phone down. Then I get up and I walk out into the kitchen. And I'm like, why am I out here? I mean, right. I was doing that work at my desk, and this is the type of stuff, this constant disconnect is what is happening. Then when I'm feeling a little, maladjusted and a little discontented and a little restless or something's going on. How do I fix that? Not by meditation or going within, looking at what might be going on. Let me jump on YouTube.
Right.
Let me learn something. That's always a good one. I got a lot of shelf help and, it takes what it takes. And maybe you don't care and you love, and you're going to, have 40 hours of TV time and 100 hours of screen time on your phone. That's why they put it in. Why do you think they put in night mode and monitoring your screen time? They don't do it just because it's a fun app. They actually do it because it's a problem.
Right. Yeah. They want your attention. So, if you're giving your attention to anything other than what you want to give it to, and I want to be careful here and say it in this way, is that you may be scrolling through things and you're looking for something that's going to give you that charge. And that's where that addictive behavior takes in, and your mind. I mean, how many times, and like you said, TikTok is addictive. And if you scroll and you see one that is a 1 minute or a minute and a half, you think, just one more. And you're like, now your adrenaline gets fueled by it. And you're scrolling. And all these things you think are adding value to you, but you forgot the first one that you watched. And then you look up at the clock and, oh my gosh, 2 hours has gone by. It's crazy. And this is where this digital detox comes in. And you can't monitor anything if you don't measure it. So, just knowing, hey, set yourself a time limit. Being on the computer. Okay, I set myself a time limit. As soon as this call is done, I'm going to take time and I'm going to shut away from my computer. I'm not going to have my phone. I'm going to go look outside. I'm going to look out the window. And, the thing about being in this room that I'm in now, I've got 4 windows in this room. I had to pull the blinds because it changes the light. These are just some of the dynamics. So what I'm doing is, while I'm in this type of an environment, I've got these lights that are around me, and they're doing stuff that I don't even know what it's doing that's not working really in the productive way of my body's chemistry. And I don't even understand it all, but I do know enough that it's changing things, and it's not always beneficial, even though it seems beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that, our bodies, our cells, we're built to take on some toxins and some things like that and, grab the energy from lights. And, but like you said, when we're done, I personally go walk out into the driveway. I walk around the lawn. I do some air squats. I chug some water, and then I come back and hit the next thing. But I don't stay seated for too long, because I go to get up and I'm like, a little bit like the tin can man, whatever. I need some oil. And our bodies aren't meant to sit that long. Aren't and I just want to say, Stan, you said something. People watch TV. I mean, that's a mystery to me, but they watch TV with their cell phone in their hand.
Right.
So they're going back and forth. I watch it, and they're looking at, oh my God, you probably see 5,000 social ridiculouses in a day. I don't. And God forbid I miss something. And I talked to my girls, and I said, put that thing down or I'll slap it out of your hand. And whoops, I don't want to get too honest. And no, I am honest. I didn't mean to say it like that. But I said, girl, you know what I mean? Well, let me be honest with you. Okay, sure. That means you haven't been. I said to my girls, if you can't remove all the social media apps on your phone for 30 days, just saying. If you can't stop drinking orange juice for 30 days, just saying. It's got a bigger hold on you. Even though you might have said, I am no longer going to wake up and grab my phone. But here I am, waking up and grabbing my phone. Remember, there's a thing called underneath that is operating most of our day. And until we grab it and say, wait a minute, I'm taking back charge. And you said another thing too, Stanley. There's nothing wrong with there's some freaking funny stuff in YouTube shorts is what I do. Yeah. And I'll say, oh, I got 12 minutes. I'm going to jump in. But and then I'll say, hey, to my timer thing. And at 12 minutes, sound an alarm. And then if I can't put it down, I got to take a look at that. To thy own self be true. But I do. Look, it's over.
Yeah. That's it. And that's the simple step that you can make. That's the monitoring and measuring and deciding what it is that you want. And what is it that you want to accomplish in a day, and not to allow something as trivial as the operating system outside of us to control the operating system that's inside of us. So, they call it OS, operating system, and it's there for a facility, but it's not there to program us. And that's what happens, is that when we get that balance out of sync, then we start letting our devices run us rather than us owning and operating the device.
Yeah, and that's all. The fueled life, we think, and in the beginning of all that stuff, it is pretty fueling. But what we find out, it's a synthetic fueling. It's tricking our brain. It's forming connections that aren't useful to us. And the fuel that it gave us is starting to dissipate. And now we start getting the disease, or I should say the addiction of more. And we look for another type of platform. We and then Candy Crush it, and let me do this, and let me just send out a text to Susie, and just because she's always really nice when she responds to me. Hey Susie, what's up? And like, oh my God, it's been 32 seconds. She hasn't replied. I am such a loser. I've noticed that people have said to me like, hey, I sent you a text. I haven't heard back. They've called me. I'm like, when did you send it? 18 minutes ago. Well, I'd only look at my phone a couple times a day. And I don't get notifications. You can go into your phone. I get a couple of text people in there, but I get zero from any social media. And then you can chunk it down and say, I want notifications, but I only want them in the time I allow you to send them to me, which could be for 1 hour in the morning, and then it won't the rest of the day. You can set your phone up for success, so you don't have to just completely shut it off for 30 days to retrain your brain. You can just take steps. If you're finding lack of focus, little loss of energy, maybe a little bit of waves of depression or self-pity, like I'm looking for something, I need those dopamine spurts, and that's basically, it's a feel-good spurt. The brain does that. And
Right.
if your sleep is a little off, if you're talking to somebody, but you felt a little zippity doodah in the old pocket, and you're like, oh crap, I hope they hurry up. I have to see what's on my phone, or you just do it. You're like, yeah, that's a really good story. Okay, Bob's not as good as you, so I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Then you want to look at it.
And you remember that experiment they did with, I think they were 5 or 7-year-old kids in a room with a marshmallow, and they gave them the test that, hey, if you can, not eat this, then there's a different reward in the long run. And there were only a couple kids that said, okay, I'll wait to see. But the majority of them, it was instant gratification. They just couldn't stop. And that's what our digital devices are doing. And by taking just a couple steps, just monitor what you're doing. Watch what it does to your focus. Watch what it does to your energy. Watch what it does to how you feel when you're around other people. We're connected to the internet. We're connected to digital, but we become so disconnected to the people around us. And, I don't know anybody that's walked down the aisle with their phone and not had somebody beside them. Usually there's another human being beside them. So if you can't marry your device, okay,
even though you already are,
yeah, then consider the value of it. Yeah, it's valuable. It gives you instant information at the flip of a finger, and the right finger. Use one of these, not the other ones. That's just my ADD that kicked in there. Anyway, but watch what you can do when you eliminate that impulse to respond or to be activated every time you get a chime.
And join us on the broad highway.
Exactly.
So give it a try or not. But I believe, because I've never really been that crazy about my phone because I'm legally blind. So for me, I got to magnify the bad light going into my eye and brain. So, but I do use the computer a lot. And excuse me, but I do, Stanley, push back, walk, jump, walk around the house, do jumping jacks. I no longer am looking for the computer to, I'm not looking for that happy, joyous, and free thing. I'm trying to create and build and do, but I find my resolve and my connection when I'm walking on the lawn and breathing the air and the sunlight's hitting me and it's restoring me so I can come back in and give it another hour or even 30 minutes. I don't know, but now all these watches like, oh my God, I can't. I mean, I'm watching people read on their thing and then talking. I'm like, really? Now it's not bad enough. You got a phone. Now your phone's in the other room and you don't miss a beat because it's coming to your dumb watch. Now I have one of those dumb watches, but I don't get I shut all of that off. And I don't, if someone's listening to this and that works for you and maybe you're getting on your exercise and stuff, I'm not here to judge you. Stanley and I, we want to help guide the fueled life, because that's our passion. And we're not perfect at it, but we keep discovering more ways to tap into the universe energy that we were born with.
Exactly. You don't know what you don't know, but once you do know it, and it's not just having the knowledge. Knowledge by itself is just knowledge. It's information, and it needs to be put into a category or put into a file. But it is when you apply that knowledge that you gain, that's when you really know something. And understanding that your brain is the most powerful tool that your body has. It controls everything, that creates energy, that creates the function of your organs, that allows you to process and go in a moment's notice. Even before we think about it, I never ask myself, should I scratch my itch? Oh yeah, wait, which finger do I want to use? No, your brain automatically sends that signal. But here's what happens is when it's constantly overstimulated by technology, it doesn't get the time to reset and rest. So it needs this to be able to function at its best. Taking time to unplug and recharge is just about feeling better, and not just in the moment, but it's for a longer period, a longer term, and it improves your productivity, and it gives you the ability to have a mental clarity and really, like Charlie said, have this fueled life, that what we're promoting and what we're sharing with you of how you can apply these simple messages.
Well, another episode of The Fueled Life. We got more, and all I know is from experience is that I used to be a bit draggy. I used to be a bit confused, and I was just losing the connection to what a miracle it is to be on this planet. What a gift it is to be able to be of service and smile and say hello and be a part. And I was losing that, and I found out it was food. It was my aunt's automatic. It was negative thought syndrome. It was maybe a lot of technology. It could have been, I was reaching for something outside of me and I let go. And now my goal is to reach for what's in me.
Exactly. So I think that's a great place to end, to bring this to a close, Charlie. The urgency about this, it is really, this is for your health. And, we enjoy having people who are able to enjoy it while we're doing this live. And for those that are watching the replay, hey, remember, if you've enjoyed this, if you know somebody that could understand or enjoy this as well, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and share. And as you share this, it helps other people that you care about, that you love, and you don't have to be the messenger. You can just say, hey, this might be something that you'd be interested in, that could move you to that marker as you were talking about earlier, and how it can make a difference. I don't know. Here's what it did for me, but you're a different person. You take a look at it and get back with me and let me know what it is that you thought about this. And hey, if you thought these guys were just full of it and they were just blowing smoke, send me a message. Let me know why you thought that it was full of smoke, and how we could. I'm not going to convince anybody of anything, because once you got to convince them, you got to constantly convince them. But the fueled life is about having an abundance and doing the things that you were created to do. So I wanted to thank you all for joining us, and come back next week. We got more for you. This is exciting stuff. So in the meantime, have an outstanding week and have a fueled life. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.